I gladly welcome you all, dear first year students, to the day 4 of your Communicative English Bridge course. Today, we'll look into the topic punctuation. So far, we have seen the 8 parts of speech and the forms of the verbs. And we have seen the 12 forms of the verbs and how do you formulate each and every sentence. Those were all the substance of our previous classes. Today, we'll move on to the punctuation. Punctuation marks are symbols that are used to aid the clarity and comprehension of written languages. Some common punctuation marks are period, that is full stop, comma, question mark, exclamatory mark, apostrophe, quotation mark, and hyphen. So basically, punctuation marks are the basic symbols that are used to help the understanding of the written language. For example, without a full stop, a sentence will not get closed. Without a question mark, we don't know it's a question. Without an exclamation mark, we don't know it is having an interjection. Without an apostrophe, we will not be able to grammatically prove the sentence has some other relation to it. Without quotation mark, you don't know it is the exact word said by the speaker. Without hyphen, you don't know it is also part of the same word. So punctuation marks are very, very important to further your knowledge in English. Let's get started. Capital letters and full stops. Whenever you mark the beginning of a sentence, you have to use capital letters. Students, you have to remember, you have to start a sentence with the capital letter and you have to use full stop to mark the end of a sentence. This is the basic thing in punctuation and all of us should follow this. To mark the beginning of sentence, you have to use capital letters, and to mark the end of sentence, you have to use full stop. See the example of the sentence. W starts with capital. We went to France last summer. Where, which are the other place you use capital to mark the use of proper noun? For example, your name, you'll use only capital. And for example, a place name, for example, Chennai, you use capital. Tamil Nadu, you use capital. India, you use capital. The United States of America, you use T and U and A and capital. So you use the capital letters at the beginning of proper noun. Proper noun include personal name, including titles before name, nationalities, language, the days of the week, and months of the year, public holidays, as well as geographical places. For example, you use capital letters to mark all the nation. For example, language. All the languages start with capital letters. The days of the week, all the 7 days of the week, you use only capital letters. And months, all the 12 months, you use only capital letters. So, and where you use full stop used to mark the end of a sentence. You are going to close the sentence, you have to use a full stop. This is about capital letters and full stops. Be very mindful, students. Capital usage of capital letters wherever you are thinking it's not correct. So you have to use the capital letters in the right place where I have mentioned, and full stops should be used to close the sentence. This is about capital letters and full stops. Further, moving on to question marks and exclamation marks. So whenever you use question, you have to use a question mark. Where are you going? Question mark. Why do you make so much noise? Question mark. What do you want? You have to use a question mark. If it is a question, it has to be having question mark. Do not be lethargic in using the punctuation marks. Definitely question marks should be used for a question. And for example, exclamation mark. Exclamation marks are used to indicate an exclamative clause or expression in informal writing. When we want to emphasize something in informal writing, we sometimes use more than one exclamation mark. For example, uh, please do not ask me to phone her. She'll talk for hours. That means you are exclaiming that point and it's an informal conversation. So you are using the exclamation mark number of times. And if you have to use an exclamatory clause or exclamatory phrase, you use listen. you have to use an exclamatory mark. And then, oh, she went there, oh, exclamatory mark. So you have to use in exclamatory mark in wherever you use the interjection. Further, moving on to commas. This comma, you have to use it mindfully. Where do you use commas? We use commas to separate a list of similar words or phrases. For example, it is important to write in clear, comma, simple, comma, accurate words. So it is very important to separate a list of items. So your mother asks you to buy milk, comma, fruit, comma, dal, comma, and rice. So before the last word, you will not use comma. For example, milk, comma, fruit, comma, dal, comma, paper, and rice. After paper, you will not have comma. So before and, you will not use comma. We do not normally use a comma before and at the end of list single words. For example, they travel through Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Czech Republic and Poland. See, after Czech Republic, you didn't have a comma. Okay, next. Semicolon. This also is very important. See, you can see the symbol of semicolon. Semicolon is having a dot in the beginning and you have a comma in the same symbol. A semicolon separates two independent clauses in a compound sentence. A semicolon is also used to separate items in a series. For example, class was cancelled today. Mr. Smith was homesick. So class was cancelled today is a separate individual clause, and you have Mr. Smith separate. So to join two ideas, you have this semicolon. Okay. Relatives at the reunion included my old brother, Bob, cousin Bob. So after Bob, you have a semicolon to separate that particular sentence, and then to continue the same. Already you have a comma. What else to use? You can use a semicolon to further proceed with the sentence. This is the usage of semicolon. Then coming to apostrophe. Apostrophe is used as a substitute for missing letter or letters in a word. For example, I cannot, cannot. So, but you use the word can't. Do not, you use the word don't. For that, you use apostrophe. Then for some numbers, for example, 1991, they say just apostrophe and 91. For example, 1990s apostrophe s. I can't see that cat's tail for a possessive case. So for possessive case means it belongs to them. Ram's bag, Sita's dog, Balu's bag, like that. Apostrophe is used for possessive case. And hundreds of years and thousands of months and all. So it is used for even the numerical possessive case. For possessive case and for substituting a missing letter, and so for the contraction and all, we use the apostrophe. Then moving ahead with colon. Colon means two dots. Is used before a list or code. For example, see, example, I have used a colon here. For example, you give a full list. What are all the things you will do today? Colon, and you will do, write, I have to finish my homework, I have to finish my record, I have to finish my diagram. So all those have to use before a list or a code. For a code also you use. For example, Ram, colon, where shall we go? Sita, colon, she said she will go somewhere, like that. So colon is used to before a list or a quote. It is used to separate hours and minutes. For example, you will say 2 o'clock, you say, but if it is 13, for example, 150, 1350. So for that, you use a semicolon. For example, you use colon. A colon is used to separate elements of mathematical ratio. You know, no? 3:2, 4:5, 1:2. For that also you use this colon. So that's the usage of colon. Further, moving on with quotation mark. As I said earlier, Quotation mark is used to mark the exact words spoken by the spoken or written by the writer. For example, she said, let's eat. Let's eat is the exact word used by that speaker. For that, you use the quotation mark. Quotation mark, you can see in the example, she said, upper you have two apostrophes you have, no? That is called quotation mark. To mark the beginning and end of the phrase to show that it is being written exactly as it was originally said or written. That's called quotation mark. Then moving ahead with hyphen. Hyphen is used between parts of a compound word or name. It is also used to split a word by syllable to fit a line of text. For example, 16-year-old. For that word 16 and year, you need a hyphen. And full-time student, part-time student. For that part and time, you need a hyphen. For that 16-year, 14-year, you need year-old girl. For that also, you need hyphen. Hyphen is used between a compound word. What is compound word? For example, uh, full-time student, part-time student. For that part-time, it is a compound word. For that part and time, you use a hyphen to make it a uh, make it uh, make it split, a split between the word. Ellipsis. You must have used this, but you might not know the exact name of it. You must, for example, you use a quote. For example, you use a quotation for your Tamil or English. You use two dots, and you will not know the name, but it is called as ellipsis. Ellipsis indicates that part of text has been intentionally been left out. For example, there is a full phrase by Shakespeare's quote, or somebody's quoting, or you are using a full page quote exactly said by the speaker, but you can't remember, so use just three dots. That's called as ellipsis. It's also an important punctuation mark. So these are the few punctuation marks I thought which you would use in your daily life, and you must know these details uh, to make your writing and your speaking in a more informative and a very clear way. So hope this punctuation reference will be more helpful and useful for you, dear students. Meet you tomorrow with a new class. Thank you.